paparazzis, guys. Robot theater. We even have a UFO picking up cars. If you guys thought that squids were going to be the weirdest thing we were going to see in this show, get ready for our discussion of episode 2.
What are you two talking about?
Oh, nothing. Just the end of the world.
Tick-tock, tick-tock.
What are you doing?
Welcome, everybody, to Pods the Watchmen, your companion podcast for the HBO miniseries that's going on right now. I'm your host, Grant Davis. Along with me is my co-host,
Clay LaPoint.
And we even got a third person on mic, our producer extraordinaire, Producer Mike.
Hey, how's it going?
Producer Mike on mic.
On mic and running the cam, so I'll be very distracted tonight.
Yeah. I'm going to direct all my questions at you. Let's just see how you can post everything, doing all the imagery and all that whatnot.
That's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Clay.
Yes, sir.
We're back for week 2, episode 2. This one is, let me pull it up here. The title is Martial Feats of Comanche Horsemanship. Horsemanship.
Borscht.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
Yeah, you did.
Now, this is directed by Nicole Cassell, who directed the first episode as well. Written by Nick Hughes and Damon Lindelof. Nick Hughes, the son of Carlton Hughes from
Fresh Prince.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant. No, not that Carlton. From Lost. That was his
okay.
collaborator on Lost, and now he's working with his son.
Holy smokes.
Uh-huh.
Isn't that wild?
It's kind of...
You know, Vince Carter is playing with a lot of children of former teammates that he used to play with.
Is that Aaron Carter's brother from...
Nick Carter. You're thinking
Backstreet
about
Boys?
Nick Carter?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
One of them.
Yeah.
I heard one of them got in some trouble. Oh, we're going to get... Nope, I'm not going there. If we go off topic, we get the squids.
Yeah.
Don't want to deal
Let's
with
avoid that for at least 5 minutes. Hey, it's nice to see you, and we're here to talk about episode 2.
Episode 2.
Yeah.
So what'd you do in the week hiatus? We were gone for a week.
I've been camping for the last 4 days, and now I'm finally back in civilization.
Well, welcome back. How was camping?
It was nice. Unexpected 5.5 inches of snow here in Texas, which doesn't happen often.
Damn.
Yeah, it made for tough nights, rough nights, but it was nice in the morning to have a little campfire going, you know. But the best part about, I don't know if you know this, but if you are camping in sub-freezing temperatures, you know, I don't know how you are, but like as a I consider myself somewhat of a respectable and respected, maybe, 36-year-old man.
You're respected.
Thank you, yeah. And you know, I can't, I don't think a night's over unless I've like maybe polished off a good half sleeve of Oreos.
Wow.
I don't know how you are. I mean, camping or otherwise, right?
I mean...
It's either going to be a Fig Newtons or Oreos for me.
That's a martial feat of
exactly.
obesity, I think.
But the thing is, when you're camping and it's 25 degrees and you have your Oreos and milk, you don't even need to put the milk in a fridge.
No.
You just roll over and go to sleep.
You have to just like thaw it out.
Yeah. You put the gallon in between your legs, warm it up for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a weird way to drink your milk. But anyway.
It's gross.
Let's move along.
Yeah. Well, you had a week to think about the last episode. You have any other new insights, new impressions now that we've digested for a week?
You know how much I liked it.
Right.
I mean, I'll just say, because I think I talked to you a lot about what I'm watching on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, and the bunch. And after watching this show, you just realize how terrible it is to watch Sean William Scott in another movie with The Rock. I think you know what I'm talking about,
Is
the
there
2003 classic.
Yeah. The Rundown?
The Rundown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I tried to watch that this morning for about 30 minutes once I got back into town to kind of get me ready again for being back in society. And it was not a welcome introduction. How's the mezcal?
What are we drinking? Yeah, mezcal?
Yeah.
It's strong.
Yeah. I thought we needed something for this episode because it got a little crazy.
It did get crazy.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about, like, it's been a week since the last episode, and a lot of shows are now on this binge model. And it makes me just kind of feel like it's nice to have a show where you can sit and digest it for a week. You can think about all the different scenes that played out, think about the layers. I did a few videos.
Yeah, you did.
During the week while you were gone camping.
They look great.
Thanks. I was trying to model this off of, I don't know, like New Rock Stars or one of the other videos that do all these Easter eggs and whatnot. And I decided to do a video talking about the Will character from this episode,
Yeah.
played by Louis Gossett Jr.,
Where there's a will, there's a way.
and theorizing about what his backstory might be, which everyone is welcome to go check out those videos. The other one I did was on Don Johnson's character, Chief Judd Crawford.
Nice.
And I know that last week I did a lot of theorizing about how he could potentially be Nite Owl, but there was also a little discussion of if there might be something a little bit more nefarious going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I thought about that, and
The more you realize I was the 100% right.
that maybe there was an actual justification, and we found out in this episode that it seems to be the latter. It seems to be like maybe he wasn't on the level.
Yeah, I mean, absence does make the heart grow fonder, and I'm glad you realized the error of your ways, and that I was correct.
My apologies.
Yeah.
I'm not too big of a man that I can't apologize when I'm wrong.
You're a sweetheart. Yeah,
Although we
really
still,
interesting.
And we still don't know.
We don't actually know.
No.
I mean, it is near Halloween.
Right? So you think this is just a trick?
A trick, or just probably not the best idea for a costume. We don't know. I'm going to stop there, but we don't know.
We don't know.
Yeah, there are good people on both sides. But, yeah, no, I mean, so what was the feedback like? And where can people still find these videos on YouTube? Or, I mean, I know we were pulling videos or doing something.
Yeah, I actually ended up putting it on another channel per suggestion from producer Mike. You suggested that we throw the videos onto a whole nother channel because it might be a little bit cleaner for organization and help the algorithm as far as like being able to find the files. They're all that type of file. Those type of videos are going to be located one spot. Our other videos in the other spot.
So you've got JPEGs in one, TIFFs in the other.
TIFFs. Yep.
Did he say tips?
TIFFs.
Okay.
TIFFs.
All right.
Yeah.
Do we know? Is that a thing?
I don't know if people still use TIFFs as an image file.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe for like super large images.
We use it like an e-discovery.
Oh yeah.
In the boring legal profession.
I can see that.
Yeah. So first impressions. What'd you think?
Hot takes?
Yeah. Do a hot take.
Hot takes!
Hot take.
I was really impressed by most of this episode. I thought that it leaned into the weird in a really good way, and I found that really engrossing. I was compelled by a lot of the mystery of what was going on with Louis Gossett Jr.'s character, Will, and I ended up getting a little bit bored and antsy at one point when Sister Nite is over at Jane's house during the memorial thing.
Yeah.
And she goes to lay down. I'm like, come on, we have that dude over there. What are they doing with the story? And then all of a sudden she puts on those Nite Owl goggles. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm back in.
Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah, it was good pacing.
I mean, just when I thought they might be losing me, they bring me right back in. I'm so taken with this show. It weaves just in all the right ways. It drops in all the sprinkles of weird that I want. And it addresses all these issues in a very mature way while really densely packing in all the Easter eggs, all the references to the Watchmen, and doing a very appropriate homage.
Absolutely.
What'd you think?
You know, I mean, I wasn't really that surprised. I didn't think it was a zany episode. I don't think it was surprising in that sense. It kind of built really well off what it did in the first episode. So we see the foundation, the groundwork, and now it's building on that. And so I wasn't really surprised per se. I mean, we knew that, okay, someone goes after a police officer, especially the chief of police, then there's going to be retribution for that, and the violence and the anger is going to get amped up, right? And so I think we continually see, and also we know from the Watchmen, hey, nice pour, by the way.
Thanks.
Jeez,
We don't have to call that out.
You've been doing that long?
I do a beer podcast.
Yeah, right. So, I don't know. It didn't really surprise me. I thought it was really good. But I think when, off camera, we were kind of talking, you kind of said, oh, this was a zany one, or what about that episode? And I kind of thought, yeah, I thought it kind of like played its role. I mean, it didn't really do anything to me. It did kind of have that. I wonder, and I want to ask you this. This is interesting. I was thinking about this on the way here. What was the first show where it's like, oh, you want answers? We'll give you an answer, but it's going to create 3 more questions. I mean, Lost did it for sure.
Yeah.
But if we're working back before that, can you think of another show that was like,
Before Lost?
I mean, did
2004?
Did I Love Lucy do that? I don't think so.
You don't remember those episodes of Friends when you're like, where did the turkey originate that it landed on Joey's head?
Is
We
his
need to find
ex-wife
this
a
out.
lesbian or not? Exactly.
I think we found out right away. in the
Yeah,
first
you're
episode.
right. But I mean, still, you want confirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got the off-topic squids.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
We got to jump back on topic. Folks, this episode, like I said, was called Martial Feats of Comanche Horsemanship. And I want to start off there because that's in reference to the painting, which is a painting by George Catlin that was painted in 1834, hanging in the Smithsonian right now. And that was the painting that's hanging in Chief Judd's house as Angela walks down the stairs to sneak out the robe out of the front door. She walks by that painting, and then it just hella lingers on it. And it's like, this is the title, this right here. But there's a really interesting quote from the painter, George Catlin, about why he painted that. And I thought I wanted to read that for you. He says, "Amongst their feats of writing, there is one that has astonished me more than anything of the kind I have ever seen or expect to see in my life. A stratagem of war learned and practiced by every young man in the tribe, by which he is able to drop his body upon the side of a horse at the instant he is passing, effectually screened from his enemies' weapons as he lays in a horizontal position behind the body of his horse, with his heel hanging over the horse's back, by which he has the power of throwing himself up again and changing to the other side of the horse if necessary. In this wonderful condition, he will hang whilst his horse is at fullest speed, carrying him with his bow and shield, and also his long lance of 14 feet in length, all or either of which he will wield upon his enemy as he passes, rising and throwing his arrows over the horse's back with equal ease and equal success under the horse's neck."
Interesting.
Right.
And that font was really small. I'm proud of you.
I have good vision.
Yeah. You do.
You don't.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, moving on. Put a squid on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, interesting. I mean, we're definitely looking at people effortlessly hiding themselves.
Yeah.
Right? While they're also being, aggressive and on the offensive. I mean, is that what you got from that?
Yeah.
Is this literature 101?
I mean, I take from it that people knowing how to shield themselves in different ways and switch sides, the duality of it. I mean, I think there's something to the idea of Judd Crawford being revealed to us as potentially a member of the 7th Cavalry. He at least had some KKK robes in his closet, and yet he was also working on the side of the police. So what is going on there? What's the larger backstory of this guy? Is he able to shield himself switching from one side to the other and play this role for everyone where, when is a lie not a lie?
Yeah,
Clay?
right.
When you're acting.
When you're acting.
That's what Ozymandias says to his robot theater slaves or whatever the fuck's going on there.
On his second birthday.
And yeah, it feels in a way like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. We still don't know, speaking of getting an answer and it leading to a question, we still don't know why that was there, what purpose it serves, and what he does with it. Look, best case scenario, he keeps that there to remember maybe his family's dark past.
Right.
Right? And so he's actually still fighting for the side of justice and just uses that to remind him when he's putting on his, that's like a huge tie collection or socks, whatever it was, right? It's pretty wild. Worst case scenario, you're right. He is playing both sides, and we don't know. And I think Will has something to say about that if he can get enough of his pills to remember what's going on.
Man, poor Will. He's now a liability with his forgetfulness.
Yeah.
Because you're the key to all this.
Yeah. Do some crossword puzzles, Will.
Strengthen those brain muscles.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's talk about the very opening scene. I want to talk about the title sequence.
Yeah.
Because just like when we used to talk about every issue of the comic, I love talking about the cover. I love talking about the title sequence. And the title sequence here was, and a little heads up for you guys. We're jumping into talking about the show itself. We're going to hit some spoilers. So, spoilers here. We're going to be talking about that. And if you guys are listening to this podcast, we want to let you know that we do a video podcast. And you guys can go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. And you can watch the videos along with us when we do a live stream at 10 p.m. every night right after the episode airs.
Central.
10 p.m. Central time.
It's not all about you. There's a lot of people that aren't in the Central Standard Time Zone.
I'm a podcaster.
Yeah.
It is all about me.
Yeah, right.
This is one of the most arrogant professions. Listen to me and my thoughts on this. Yeah. Anyway, let's jump back to the title sequence. Yeah, when we used to talk about the comics, I would love talking about the cover images. And similarly, I love what they're doing with the title sequences, especially since it seems custom built to each of the episodes. This is something that we've seen other shows kind of play around with a bit. and it's coming a little bit more into the norm. With the first episode, we had the flicker of the video, the old-timey 1921 video, and that's where we see the Watchmen title. And here we have the typewriter typing it out before we flash into all the women typing on the typewriters. I like it.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I think when you see creative energy being put even into the title, you know that creative energy is being put into every little iteration of this show.
Well, and also we know that here he wants to focus on racial injustice and racial tension, right? And I think he knows, like we all should, that has to come from somewhere. And it wasn't created today, and it's not going to be gone tomorrow. That this stuff has a long history, and so he revisits that. I mean, obviously 1921 in Tulsa for episode 1, and now episode 2, it had to be World War I, like, a few years before that. So pretty wild. And I think just really kind of to remind you, oh yeah, that people went through things and they have family histories, and they grew up hearing stories, and it's going to influence how they behave and how they act. So really cool.
Right. It was also interesting because I think there were some internet sleuths who had figured out already from screenshots last week about that Watch Over This Boy paper, that the other side of that was the German propaganda that was trying to entice black American soldiers to be like, hey, look at the injustice. Why are you fighting for them to sow dissension?
So in order to do that, did they like hold a candle up to their iPad, like behind it so they could see through it?
That's how they did it.
Yeah.
They rubbed some lemon juice all over their computer screen.
Exactly.
And a magic thing appeared.
Yeah, that's wild, huh? Wow.
You're a regular Hardy Boy.
Yeah.
We also see that when he calls in the Fraulein to help him do the dictation on the keyboard, the typewriter. Is that what it's called? Typewriter? Yeah. Typewriter. He calls her Fraulein Mueller. And I thought that was interesting. Right away, my ears perked up because I was like, Mueller? German? There was a character named Hooded Justice in the original Watchmen comic who was one of the very first superheroes of the Watchmen era. 1938, I want to say, is when he made his debut. And the idea was that a lot of the theory went that it was this guy named Rolf Mueller. I think a lot of that theory was posited by the first Nite Owl in his book Under the Hood. He was one of the original Minutemen, so was Hooded Justice, but Hooded Justice never took off his mask, so they never knew his true identity. And then in the book, he says he thinks it's this guy, Rolf Mueller, and then it was that he was a German guy. We hear the name Mueller, and then we also see later in the TV show, within the show, American Hero Story, that the dead body was of Rolf Mueller,
right?
Who the narrator's like, I used this corpse of this Rolf Mueller guy to throw them off the scent.
Yeah.
But I'm one of the first superheroes. So they're already in that show as well, casting doubt on the identity of it being Rolf Mueller, while at the same time kind of drawing into the past of the original Watchmen and tying it into this story here.
Yeah, definitely a treat for people who've read the comics and are into it.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of cool.
Totally.
But then again, I imagine that might be a little bit too much for like a lot of the casual viewer. Like, I don't care.
I doubt the casual viewers are watching this.
So you think this is only for the zealots?
Yeah.
The ratings were really high. It's like 1.3 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Our podcast.
Yes, for our podcast, for whopodsthewatchmen.com. No, it was like it attracted more viewers than what are the other HBO shows? Righteous Gemstones,
right?
Succession. Yeah.
I think they have a lot of other shows right now that are a little bit even more niche than this. I would say that superhero shows no longer are niche. They are kind of mainstream popcorn fare at this point. So
you don't say.
We've taken over.
Yeah.
Us nerds.
Yeah.
You're a nerd.
Okay.
Let's move on. So when we move from there, we see that those letters are being dropped over his dad's marching fields, and his dad takes that letter back home with him.
Yeah.
When do you think? What year was that? Like, what was the German War?
When you say German War, you mean World War I?
World War I. That was like 1919 or so, right?
We're looking at the late teens.
Right?
Yeah, just a few years before.
Okay, so he must have just kind of wrapped up his duty, or maybe it was on leave. Like, was the German War?
It was
still
done.
going on?
It was done by then.
Okay.
By 21. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought once again, you're right. It's a really neat tie-in between the past and what's going on now, and tying in how those racial issues have just always been present and still have not been really addressed. There's been no reckoning.
Yeah, and it's interesting because this is kind of, watching the show, I don't know about for you, but for me, I have to think, you're already thinking like with family trees. I don't know if you've ever read like Marquez or anything like that with 100 Years of Solitude, how he actually has the family tree on the front page. And when you're reading it, you're just like going back and forth so many times to kind of remember which person they're talking about. And after a while, like 200 pages in, you just rip it out. And I know a lot of people who do that reading that book because it gets not confusing, but it's just easier to keep track. And here I'm already doing that at least, because obviously we're thinking about the Watchmen in the 80s. We're thinking about this time period in like late 19-teens to 1921 in Tulsa. We're thinking about right now 2019, and then we have the Minutemen, right, which is like 1940s, 50s.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just a ton, and then we have the other Watchmen in like the 60s, 70s. So we just have a ton of different time periods to juggle right now, and maybe the show doesn't. I think the show does touch on most of that, and then you have the comic book, which does even more. So it's tough for me to. I mean, there's just so much material, and he does a really good job of weaving in and out effortlessly. So that I think if it works for the casual viewer and it works for the zealots, you know.
Yeah, but it is interesting that he's jumped a couple times. I always say he, like it's only Damon Lindelof, but it's all of them. They've jumped a couple times between different time periods, even in this episode here in the approximate modern day. Because it seems like they went from 2019, our present day, to 2016 for the White Knight. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, precisely.
The attack that came from the 7th Cavalry.
The Crystal Knocked.
The Crystal Knocked, essentially,
Yeah.
where but in this case, they're going after the police, the militia, the 7th Cavalry are, and they're busting in the doors and attacking them. You see the ticking clock going right toward midnight, and midnight striking is always an ominous thing from Watchmen. It's the whole idea of the clock ticking toward midnight because that spells doom. That's the doomsday clock. And then similarly here, it strikes midnight, and that's when the door kicks open, and they start taking their shots at Angela and Cal.
Yeah, we have some questions there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, well, for me at least, the biggest question is, why isn't she dead?
They had her
What
dead to
happened there?
rights.
What happened there? Who saved her?
Who was under the hood?
I was thinking hubby with a frying pan.
You think hubby? Well, see, yeah, it all kind of depends on what we see later.
Right.
But right now, we're just left to speculate, and I feel like it could have been that the person under the hood was actually her captain.
Yeah.
And if it was Judd there watching her, and he goes, no, I'm going to use her to my advantage for my larger master plan.
Yeah.
Sure. If the whole Judd being a member of the 7th Cavalry is all a red herring, then maybe it's hubby with a frying pan.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know exactly what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But that was a huge mystery.
It was. Hey, and can I actually jump back really quickly to the timing? I have a small, would you say quibble?
Gripe? Quibble?
I have well, it's just a question. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Okay.
She goes and she finds her captain, police chief, whatever, hanging from the tree. At what time would you say? I'd say that's around like 11 or 12.
11 or 12 p.m.?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. She
AM, I
then
guess.
grabs the guy, Will, takes him back. Let's say they get back and she kind of gives him the coffee at around 1:30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When she goes back, she then gets a call while she's chatting with him.
Right.
Let's say that call takes place at about 1:30 a.m., 2 a.m.
Yeah. And she takes 4 hours to get there.
Oh, no, it was high noon. She takes 8 hours to get back there.
Well, it seemed like the sun was rising as she was driving in. And then
when
the
she
sun
got
is
there,
up.
the sun, I mean, how fast does it rise in Tulsa?
Yeah,
Is there
very fast.
Yeah, is it like, I mean, I don't know.
Sunrise is usually around 3 a.m., I think, in Tulsa.
Yeah. It's kind of
little known weird
it's
fact.
kind of like Anchorage or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sun never
That's why
sets.
they're all going crazy.
Did
and
you
wearing
notice that?
masks. I did.
I don't like to
but-
complain about stuff like that because it worked. It worked. Whatever it was, it worked.
But it is possible. I mean, he was watching. We see Judd is watching TV with his wife before he goes out, and they're watching the primetime show. And that could come on at 10 o'clock Central Time.
You ever heard of DVR?
That's when you watch your best primetime shows, I think.
Yeah, DVR too. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Or you could be DVRing after a party. That makes a lot of sense as well.
Yeah.
But he could have been watching it a little bit later, and then he gets a call like, hey, go check out this guy who just woke up in the hospital.
Yeah.
And he could have rolled in there around 2 or 3 and then take an hour or two for her to process at her place and then drive back. We could fudge it. I'm sure they just wanted different lighting for that scene. to play out.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's fine. We don't need to go into it. I just kind of was wondering.
I do want to talk about one of the first bonkers things we see in this episode, which is when she's having a chat with Looking Glass in the car. And Looking Glass is a fascinating character. Yeah. He's a little bit of a dick. He's saying, "Hey, do you have anything to eat?" And he's munching nuts. Very Rorschach in Nite Owl's house, eating a can of beans. He just wants some sugar cubes. He wants something to munch on, right? Yeah. And he's sitting there, like, talking shit with her. He says, like, "Oh, your kids?"
Yeah.
About the 3 kids she has now.
Yeah.
And we now know about those kids.
Right.
But during that conversation, crash on the hood is a winged paparazzi looking like Mothman from the Minutemen as well. One of the guys who I think he ended up committing suicide, if I'm correct on that particular character.
Didn't they call him Mothman as well in the show? Fucking Mothman.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So his legacy has kind of turned to paparazzi characters.
Yeah, it works.
It was so funny and weird.
It was cool.
Yeah,
that was a great
just
scene.
Yeah, and just showing that it wasn't even just one of them. It's like a tribe of them that all wear this like little hover suit thing. Yeah, we're in a whole different world here.
Yeah, it's a fungible product now.
Yeah,
everybody has a personal flying machine.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool.
The future, man.
Yeah, no.
And if only we just had Nixon for a few more years.
Yeah, hey, that was if only. That was a pretty sweet scene though, especially when he says something like, "Well, then why am I crying right now?"
Right.
Oh, that hurt.
He's got that rocky exterior.
Yeah.
But he's got a heart. That weird ass Looking Glass.
Yeah.
The guy who never wants to take off his mask either because he feels it's his skin.
Yeah. We
see a lot of that actually. This duality of character of you aren't your true self until you put on your costume. I was struck most notably about that by the scene when we have we have Angela interrogating Will, Louis Gossett Jr. in her bat cave, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And when she's interrogating him, you see she's upset, and she asks him a couple questions, and then she just like storms off, does her double keypad to go through her 2 doors, so she's soundproof, and then she just starts hitting stuff. And then after she kind of gets a little bit of her emotional outburst out of her, she goes and puts on her costume, which is sort of her armor. Like not only her like emotional armor, but it's like her changing identity. She's now a person who can operate in a manner that she doesn't need to have this. She doesn't need to hold on to those emotions.
Yeah, I mean, don't dress for the job you have, dress for the job you want.
Right.
So, I mean, she's really always looking for that next step up. No, I agree. That was really interesting too. And I thought that, okay, it's also because she wants to go out and she knows she's going to have to go kick ass afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
So I need a moment to collect myself. And also, let's just change because now we got to get down to business.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right completely, but I just think, right.
It's an armor still, though.
Did you know she was doing that with the coffee? You thought she was just being a gracious host?
I thought it was clever, that little add-on that she was going to get his saliva from the coffee.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, though. So I really love that one line. He says, "Why am I crying right now?"
Mm-hmm.
Second favorite line of the show, of the episode. Favorite was, we probably have the same one.
What?
What kind of bakery is this?
Oh, that was so good. No sugar. What kind of bakery is this?
Yeah. That was great.
And you must assume at this point that he knows full well his relationship to her, that she's actually secretly his granddaughter, right?
I'd assume so.
He's operating based off of this principle. He says something to the effect of like, "I knew your father."
Yeah.
On the phone when he mysteriously called her in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
So he knows this, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but I really once we found out about this, that, the big reveal, they left us with a question of who's the other person that he's related to that they know about. Maybe it's just the father. But also, he goes to, she says, "I'm going to arrest you."
Mm-hmm.
And she takes him out to the car.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to pick him up because he's in a wheelchair, she has to like wrap her arms around him.
That was nice.
And it becomes a hug moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, what a great way to get that real deep emotional like connection that she's obviously fighting.
Yeah.
Because this goes back to her putting on that armor, right?
Mm-hmm.
She she puts on this costume to suppress her feelings about certain situations. And similarly, we see that like when she's lying in the hospital bed after the White Night, the attack that got her shot in her own home, we see Chief Judd being like, you can cry if you want to. You just lost your partner. And she's like, maybe later. It seems like she's constantly just trying to suppress a lot of emotion, and she's channeling it into a rage.
Yeah.
She beat the fuck out of that one dude in the Nixonville trailer park.
Yeah. I mean, she's somebody who takes as a point of pride to control her emotions and take care of business. You know, I mean, we see even her husband asks her something like, are we going to be safe?
Right.
Right. So even in her own home, she's constantly thinking about her family's safety. Whereas a lot of us are thinking like, you know, let's throw some food in the microwave or something. And, you know, let's get some peas. Let's get some peas and fettuccine or tortellini in the,
why are you looking at me? Why are you saying my favorite meal right there?
Let's get some chicken strips and peas in the microwave right now.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You got to try it.
That's one word for it. No, I think that, and hey, speaking of that trailer park scene, I mean, again, it was really strange for me. It was this visceral thing where I kind of thought, oh yeah, they got to go do this. And then like a half second later, I'm just disgusted with myself. Like, what kind of due process is this?
Because you fell into the trap of like, they're just like
rednecks.
they're recklessly attacking people.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're attacking poor people who they're profiling. Maybe a lot of them are actually the 7th Cavalry, but
still, ellipses. Yeah, exactly. You know, and so we just see that more and more. And obviously, what do we have? I mean, how many more episodes? What is this, 9? Is this a 9-episode?
I think it's 9 episodes, yeah. So
we
got
have 7 more,
more.
and it's going to keep just getting ramped up to a place where, I mean, we might flip sides on this. You know, I mean, I would say still now we have a situation where we might have a chief of police who is in the KKK, right? Or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and we have a police force which it uses extrajudicial violence like regularly. Yeah. It's a normal routine day for them.
There are bad people on both sides.
Yeah, precisely.
So and who are we rooting for?
And that's the thing, which makes it so interesting.
We're rooting for Regina King.
I'm rooting for the little girl with the staples or whatever those were, making a sweet castle, a floating castle.
What kind of castle? No, that not girl.
Boy, is that a boy?
Topher with the long hair?
Yeah, okay, sorry.
That's Topher, who was the son of her old partner who died.
Right.
So she ended up adopting that kid.
So Topher's a boy.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Just has long hair.
Sorry, Topher.
It's a kid. Anyway, Topher was making this castle that's floating magnetically, which looks fucking awesome. But also, it's a castle that Ozymandias is living in right now.
Yeah.
Like, this castle seems to be popping up in every single episode. You see that Dr. Manhattan was making a statue to it. Yeah. Now you see this kid is making this castle. It's got this little turret thing. And it looked a lot like it.
I think next episode we're gonna see like a mashed potato mountain, little Close Encounters throwback.
It made me wonder if there might be some sort of psychic link going on between that kid and Dr. Manhattan, or if there's something else going on in the air that everyone is like. There are certain key people that might be affected by some other machinations going on by Ozymandias.
Well, remember in the comic book,
putting on his fucked up place.
I mean, as people know in the comic book, certain people who were more sensitive than others might have, nightmares and dreams, and I don't know.
Yeah,
about the event in New York City in 1986 or something.
When the squid exploded. In the original Watchmen comics, that was the ultimate big cataclysmic event. I think they call it the DIE, the dimensional. I don't even remember what the acronym is supposed to be, but yeah, it was it's so fucking bonkers to ever have to explain this, but it's like Ozymandias genetically mutated a squid alien being that also has a psychic brain from a kid that they crossbred into it. And then exploded in New York City, so it let off a psychic blast that affected everyone on the planet.
That was pithy. You did a good job.
And we now have raining squids.
Yeah, and we see a throwback to that whenever he pulled the tomato off the tree.
Like there's more genetic
He's still kind of fooling around.
Yeah.
This guy can't keep his finger out of the pie.
So you think he's genetically making tree tomatoes? out there.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that, in the comic book he does this sweet tiger cat dog thing, and then he does this giant vagina-shaped octopus that explodes, and now he just thinks,
Accurate.
I'm going to actually do the hardest thing I'm going to do. I'm going to dedicate my life to putting tomatoes on trees, when probably some simple grafting work would do.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Just
Hey,
have it
why
on
was
there.
why did he have 2 candles on the cake today?
Because it's the 2nd anniversary of his death. Okay, that's the other. I mentioned
But it
earlier.
wasn't a year later.
I mentioned earlier that we were seeing things out of order in time. He's been missing for 7 years. So I think in last episode when we saw the 1 candle, that was the 1st year anniversary of him going into hiding.
Okay.
So we actually jumped from 2019 back to 2013, I guess, for him.
Okay.
And then in this scene, we were back in 2014 for his 2nd anniversary, where he's now putting on the same play with his robots or whatever they are. They must be robots because they're emotionally dead clones that glitch a little.
Why are you
But
looking? Why are you looking at me a little too closely there?
emotionally dead, like someone I know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like he must be taking these robots and. Okay, here's another thing. He is he like really insecure and in love with Dr. Manhattan? Is that like what your take is with what's going on here?
Let me tell you something. I'm not a theater buff, but that's not a good play.
The smartest man in the world, lousy playwright.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Jordan's not the best owner. Charlotte's not doing that well right now, so maybe it's pretty similar.
Mm.
I mean, John Elway doesn't make good drafting decisions for the Denver Broncos.
Elon,
Sorry out there.
Elon Musk is a fucking idiot on social media.
Is he? I don't know. Yeah, as you know, I don't even have a phone, so
Oh.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with him, but that is interesting. So maybe now, do you think that we will see? I mean, obviously, I guess probably so. We will see like episode 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to build towards something. Like, when do you think he's going to come into play more?
I'd imagine it's going to be a couple episodes from now.
Because right now it's just kind of more of a curiosity than anything else that matters to the story.
But while we're on the topic of him, I do think like, is it too early for me to say my Cubes moment?
Is it ever too early for a Cubes moment?
I think I'm going to go to my Cubes moment. My Cubes moment for this episode, and for anyone who's new watching this, the Cubes Award goes to anything that was just one of our favorite moments from the episode.
Could be a character, it could be a place, a scene, an action, a look.
A
could
feeling.
Be a feeling. I mean, really, it comes from sugar cubes in the comic book. And if you've read the comic book, even glanced at it, you will notice the green sugar cubes that made such an impression on this sweet soul.
Yeah, and how crucial they are. Anyway, my Cubes moment,
Yeah.
blue dick.
Okay.
The blue dick of
Yeah.
Tom Meissen or his body double. I'm not sure since they could have done a Cersei thing where he's got a body double. That could have just been his legit
Sometimes I
hairless blue dick.
I want to say this. I think it's funny. 10 years ago, if you like rubbed Aladdin's lamp or something and you said, I just want to see, or I want to hear, I don't even need to see it. I want to hear 5 seconds of my life in 10 years to kind of see where it's going. And so you get that, and you waste one of your 3 wishes on that, and all of a sudden you lean in close to you can hear the ocean in a seashell. You lean in close to Aladdin's lamp, and it says, "My Cubes moment is a blue dick."
God,
would you think your life's a success?
I read a tweet today that was someone effectively saying it said the waiter says, "Enjoy your meal," and then it says, "Me, you too." And then God goes, "Oh wait, we got to replay this moment of your life over and over again."
Exactly.
And I'm like, "That's what you're doing to me right here."
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Did I just do a "me too"? One of those embarrassing things?
No, that was your Cubes moment.
That was a Cubes moment.
That touched you in a certain way.
I thought the blue dick was such a notable aspect of the comic that gets talked about a lot, and they didn't avoid it. They didn't shy from it. In fact, they pan up just to the dick, linger on it a second.
Did you think you were going to get a loincloth?
No.
I think it's freeing, though, because, I mean, we can see breasts. I mean, it's 2019, right? It's supposed to be equality, equal pay and all that, and yet we can see breasts, but we can't see a blue penis.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
The last blue penis I saw was on American Gods, I think. I think the blue genie had, he had a baby arm there hanging off of him. It was a weird scene. I don't know if you saw that show. I'm guessing not.
I'm just mouth gaping right now because I didn't know we were going to be talking about blue dicks this long.
Moving on. Let's talk about the robots.
Let's talk about my cubes moment.
Okay. I'm sorry. Let's go into your cubes.
My cubes moment was just the idea that we still have the newspaper vendor. You know,
we do.
With this world of social media, less and less people are reading the news, the actual paper.
It's a real dying job.
Right? Yeah, it's a dinosaur. It was so cool that we actually have the newspaper vendor, and it was kind of a fast-talking guy, and it was kind of this place of social milieu, you know, where people are kind of coming and going and talking to each other and interacting that we don't really get anymore these days unless you're just blasting somebody anonymously on Twitter as a troll. You know, so I thought it was cool that, you know, that was such a focal point in the comic book. And, you know, it didn't really add anything to the story so much this week, but I just thought it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah, we see that he also is a little bit of a conspiracy nut.
Yeah.
He's kind of talking about the Keene Act, or he's talking about Joe Keene, the Senator Keene,
right? Who
we end up seeing later at the memorial service, played by James Walk, I want to say his actress.
Kind of a Gavin Newsom type. California listeners or viewers will know what I'm talking about. I don't know. He just looked a little bit too slick for my liking.
But he's like ultra conservative. I think he's the son of the original Keene who did the Keene Act.
Yeah.
In the comic, the Keene Act, for any of you guys who are unindoctrinated, is the act that outlawed costume superheroes. No one could wear a mask anymore and be a superhero. And now his son is highly regarded. He was the one being talked about on the radio when Judd was driving to his death at the end of last episode. He's listening to conservative talk radio. And they're talking about... this guy, and they're like, I think he's going to be great. He's going to give Robert Redford a run for his money. And we see that he's actually kind of tight with Judd's family. So maybe Judd Crawford is in cahoots with the 7th Cavalry.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's listening to conservative talk radio for them talking about the boss of that his wife used to work for.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just like, we're actually kind of family friends. Yeah,
those are just his presets on the
radio. Not everyone agrees politically with everyone in their family, so.
Oh, really?
You can still kind of maintain those relationships a bit.
You can?
You gotta try.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we only got one life to live, so. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I think definitely we'll see that guy come into play more. He could kind of be the hand behind the scenes. Could kind of be like God, what's the show? This happened during the bar exam. The really good show with Matthew McConaughey. They're detectives.
Oh, yes, True Detective.
Yeah, kind of be like that. Like that's the money and the power behind the scenes, kind of running things. I don't know.
Well, jumping back to the news vendor, before I jump back to Ozymandias, it's kind of flashback there.
Yeah.
We see a young lady come up and buy a newspaper, and she's buying it for her boss. And I think it is I think it's going to be the Asian Lady Trio, I think is going to be her name in the upcoming episodes. There's like these screenshots of her wearing this white outfit, and she's got like what looks like Spock ears or something going on. Nice. I wasn't sure really what was going on here. But in doing some research in the backstory, I think she is the lady who her business, the Trio Foundation or Trio Industries, bought Ozymandias's Vate Corporation.
Wow. Okay.
So she owns that, and we see this little brief snippet of this lady come buy a whole stack of different newspapers.
Yeah.
And the news vendor's like, does she really read all of those? And she's like, yeah, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Which really reminds me of Ozymandias sitting in front of all the TVs. It's just these geniuses who are able to absorb a bunch of information really rapidly.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
And I think so they're setting it up as this new
Titan of industry.
Yeah, this new kind of Titan of industry.
So
small little scene though.
Doing no research, do you know who she reminded me of? I mean, if you're just looking, you know, like let's say you're looking at something over here, TV's over here, right? Okay. The glasses, Leftovers, season 2. What was her name? Ellie? No. What's the daughter's name?
Oh.
And she ends up joining the cult.
Yeah.
Same glasses.
Was it?
Kind of looks similar, man.
Okay. I hadn't really noticed that.
Really?
I hadn't put it together, but that's fascinating.
I mean, I had to kind of do a double take to see if it was the same actress. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, let's go on. What else do you want to discuss?
I just kind of want to talk to you about kind of other snippets you found that reminded you of the comic book. Obviously, we have the alley with the spray-painted people kind of holding each other when she's pulling her car out.
Oh, really? Was it?
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty sweet. It was right before the newsstand scene.
Ah.
So that was pretty sweet. Kind of a
probably
nice
looking down and
callback.
taking notes or something.
Yeah. So that was a nice one. I'm trying to think of other. Oh, whenever you saw the goggles that she put on, the
Right.
the night goggles.
So this, I put out some theories earlier
when you
this
say
week.
put out, what does that mean?
I released some episodes
Uh-huh.
earlier where I was theorizing about who Judd Crawford might be. Maybe he's Nite Owl. Why does he have the owl ship?
Yeah.
But it was posited to me by someone. Was it you, Mike? Maybe you made reference to this.
To what? I don't know what you're gonna say.
That he's not, that he didn't. Shit, what was I trying to say? That the reason that he has the owl ship was that they likely confiscated it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That the police confiscated, because now we know there's this whole other layer.
Did you go too far down a Reddit rabbit hole?
I'm going through it. I'm fucking my brain's blitzing.
You don't
trying
have to read
pull all this.
every post. It's okay.
Okay, there's this thing called Pedipedia, which is supplemental information that the show is putting out on hbo.com/Pedipedia. It's very similar to the end supplemental material at the end of every comic of the Watchmen, or where it'd be like articles, news clippings, interviews, kind of stuff like that. But it's a collection of these different files put up by this agent. Agent Petey is his name. And one of these files, he makes a reference to how Nite Owl is actually, Dan Dryberg is actually in federal custody right now. So he answers what's happened to that character. And Agent Lori Blake, formerly Agent Lori Giuseppe, is also in their employ. So at some point, they arrested him. And it is possible that he also maybe crashed into Tulsa with his owl ship and owl goggles and all that, got arrested, they confiscated it, and now the police are these yokels who don't know how to use this ship, and they're just trying to fly it around loosely, taking out 7th Cavalry. They don't know what technology they're fucking with. I mean, can you imagine just our local PD having the Batmobile and being like, oh, fuck, let's go take down some people with this?
Yeah, but they wouldn't use it because you can't get through the Dairy Queen drive-through with that long of a vehicle. Like the turning radius isn't that good.
It's awful for it.
So the local police department wouldn't have it. Just kidding. We support our police or our blue line. So let me tell you something. If Lori sold out Dan,
right?
Do you know how livid I'll be? Very is the answer. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Can you imagine? I really hope that didn't happen. I hope she was not playing both sides.
Man, it's Jean Smart.
Yeah.
She can do whatever she wants.
Get smart.
I'm sure if she gives us a reason, I'll be like, yeah, fuck Dan, that dumb idiot. No?
I don't know why you have to do that.
Are you fully in Dan camp?
I'm not. Yeah, actually I am. I don't know why you wouldn't be.
I don't know.
He was the most likable. He was the only fully likable human being in the entire comic book. The only one who you really couldn't find a problem with.
He saw injustice and he just wanted to put on his sweater vest and diddle around on his owl ship downstairs.
He wasn't a self-actualized
out.
man, but you've got holes in your jeans right now. Neither are you.
You got. I'm wearing a partial Halloween costume.
Yeah, you've
Halloween.
You've got this like 1990s grunge thing, man. You're like from Seattle. I like it.
I was dressed as Garth from Wayne.
Yeah, okay.
I took off the hair, but this is kind of what's going on.
So for all the viewers, listeners, I don't know if they know, but you usually do Halloween up pretty well.
Oh,
you're a Halloween guy.
I try some years.
Not this year.
Oh, not this year. So you don't have anything in
phoning
in the
it in.
Really?
This year. Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. I mean, I want it to be better.
When I was living in California and other places alone, sad, isolated from the rest of humanity, I always liked to check Facebook when I had it and see every Halloween what you and the family were doing. Kind of warmed my heart. It kind of reinforced how sad I was.
Aw.
So at least now we're sad together. Yeah.
Oh, we got the off topic.
Okay, so
time to get back into this.
What other moments did you see? Any kind of throwbacks to the comic book?
There is something important I definitely want to talk about, and it is the scene that we got from American Hero Story.
Oh yeah.
We see the backstory of Hooded Justice, And then we see a crime scene go down where we see this robbery of a grocery store. Like, you can't get that much fucking money from a grocery store.
What did that action scene remind you of?
Yes, right? Wasn't the whole thing?
That ridiculous, over-the-top action scene. What
It
did that
was
remind
a
you of?
giant fuck you to Zack Snyder, and I can't believe they did it.
Yeah.
They have him bust through a window and then just brutally start like beating up people, which I guess is true to character of the backstory of Hooded Justice. Like, he was known to be very violent, like unnecessarily violent with people.
Yeah.
But he's just jamming the head until it's bleeding, beating these people to a pulp, and it's fucking savage. He stabs that one guy like 18 times.
Is it savage when right before that they had a gun to a woman's head? Am I insane here, or should those people learn a lesson? like a slap on the wrist is not going to cut it.
I'm talking about tonally how this fits within the rest of the show.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's a whole other beast. We're not.
Now, what about that warning at the beginning?
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
We also get this FCC warning that is, it is a Republican's nightmare of how the liberals are going to.
I mean,
just like give
This
extreme
was the
warnings of
future
everything.
liberals wanted.
put the Christ back in Christmas.
The warning is like it's like 20 minutes of just a laundry list of all the things you're gonna see.
It's like a cigarette package or something.
It was really hilarious.
Yeah, no, that was pretty awesome. I liked the scene. It was cool to kind of see. I mean, even just, I think he does such a good job at kind of changing, colors and framing and just the pacing and everything like that. It works. I mean, this whole show started with the beginning of episode 1, like the old sepia tea stain kind of old film from the 1920s.
Right.
And now this was kind of done in a similar way, right? It just kind of fit that time. It made sense. It was
Added
cool.
graininess. Yeah,
it was cool.
Quality to it.
Yeah, I loved it. And I hope we kind of get like more tidbits like that throughout. It's kind of fun.
We get to see a little bit more of Red Scare. Not a whole lot. But what do you make of this character?
He's a real one.
That guy calls him a Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm a socialist.
I'm a communist.
Or a communist.
I'm a communist. Yeah, I mean, he's a real one. Like, what you see is what you get. And when he's standing on top of a car doing the countdown, he's just kind of waiting to get down to 1. Like, he's doing a countdown. Like with your kids, you do a countdown. You're like, please don't let me get to 0. Like,
right.
You're like, I do not want to get to 0. Either
I don't want to be an enforcer.
Either A, they're going to call me out, or B, I'm going to have to go to a place I don't want to go. I just want to like keep the energy, keep the calories. I don't want to spend this energy. For him, he's like, damn, why did I start at 10? I should have started at 2.
But wasn't the threat that he was going to tear down
the Nixon
idol?
Yeah.
But they just made the decision just to beat the shit out of everybody.
Nah, let's
instead.
beat some people.
Yeah.
We can easily find this neighborhood because of the Nixon, so let's leave that up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's like their Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time you put up a Nixon, they kind of congregate.
I was just kind of I was pretty amused by the character. I like the actor.
Well, and what's so great about him is everything fits. Like his what's it called, balaclava or whatever, is always kind of pulled to the side. Like he doesn't even put it on like the right way. It's great.
It also just reminded me of the speech that Hooded Justice gives in that story. It's like it's way over the top, but he's like, my mask. Why do I wear my mask? Because I don't know who I really am. But he's also talking about like channeling all of his anger into the mask.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of what we see are a lot of really angry people who probably just need anger management counseling. And instead they put on a mask and you see Sister Nite savagely beat that dude. She's just like pounding her fists over and over when he's clearly subdued at this point. But she's got rage that she needs to channel into something, and rather than cry when Judd's at her bedside about her lost partner, she needs to channel her emotions into her fist punching people.
Yeah. I mean, it works. It works with her character. Right. So speaking of people, or we don't know or whatever you said, who lifted up that car? Which Archie-mobile lifted up the car, and who was it?
See, Will, a.k.a. Will Reeves, which is interesting because you remember that character from
The South Park episode, Christopher Reeves, where he eats babies.
Reeves. Yeah, the one who's eating babies.
Eats babies and gets stronger.
No, but Bass Reeves is the character, the sheriff that he's watching in that movie in 1921.
Right.
And then when he gets separated from his family, maybe he only remembers his first name and he takes on the last name Reeves. I don't think that's addressed here in this episode, so I shouldn't go on too much of a tangent there. But
is this PD material?
He does also in the beginning pick up another little kid. So maybe he has that other individual as a partner in crime. There's something also very like mega Nite Owl about it. It was like, oh, is that Archie, the Nite Owl ship?
Yeah.
But it's massive. Archie is not very big. It was pretty big. I mean, the size of the magnet was bigger than this table we're talking at. It was like, it was almost as big as the car itself that it just dumped onto.
Yeah. It was a dump truck.
And that was just a tiny little Oculus in the whole like circumference of that vehicle up there.
Huh.
That ship. So really big. He has some watchful protector over him.
Kind of interesting.
Right.
When someone picks up a vehicle, don't expect it to go straight up. She almost got killed.
Yeah, it dragged the car, and I was like, she could have gotten knocked right there.
No, I mean, like, whenever that happened, I almost turned to Diana, and I was like, learning moment. You know?
Right.
If you're next to a vehicle, and that happens, get away. It's not lifting straight up. You know? I mean...
If you're in this exact situation...
Run.
If a magnet... Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of
if you're near a T-Rex... Don't move. If you're near a vehicle that's about to be picked up, move.
You're learning a lot of lessons from movies that are very scientifically accurate.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I live my life. Yeah.
The musical score, we talked a little bit about it last week, but I completely forgot that this is composed by Trent Reznor and Atticus Finch.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, they're doing the music on this, and it's pretty badass, and I totally recognize it here.
I don't know who Atticus Finch is, other than
it was just, he was also in 9 Inch Nails with them.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
What'd you think about it?
I really enjoyed it. In fact, I thought the kind of like intensity that was building when she's beating the guy in Nixonville, Sister Knight's beating that dude.
Yeah.
It like really had me on the edge. I was like, fuck, this is really intense.
Yeah.
She's beating the hell out of that guy. And I think that the music's just really lending to this show in building the atmosphere of the world. I think it knows how to lean into tension, lean into energy in the show. Like last week I was talking about there's kind of this kind of progressive 80s tempo going on when she was like researching stuff. I was like, yeah, I'm feeling that. More of that kind of music. Please.
It's kind of like, it's like you see the snowball and you're just picking up steam. You're like, okay, let's go with that for a little bit. And then when it doesn't work, it'll switch over to the next one. Yeah, it really works. So what parts of the show, I know you talked about one moment where you thought was a little bit slow. Was there anything pacing-wise that didn't work for you?
I mean, it was mainly that they set up a lot of questions and then they were spinning through some other little elements. Like she goes back to the house to talk to the kids. All the while, I know that Will is still hanging out in her Hanoi and Milk or whatever place. Yeah. And so that just kind of made me a little anxious. I'm like, that's like the bigger lingering question, and that's just being put on the back burner. But I like everything I'm seeing with her husband.
Okay.
And Cal. And I like that he's a stay-at-home
That's his name?
dad.
Would you?
He does seem like a stay-at-home dad. I'm not sure he has another job. But I'm like, right on stay-at-home dads, because me too.
Yeah, there you go.
I get it.
That's a weird fist you just did at the Olympics on the Olympic podium. You know, Black Power, but whatever. So
no.
So
misinterpreted.
Oh, okay, sorry. So what did you think? So would you say, I guess, that their relationship, because they have a strong relationship.
They do. And I like that they kind of go back to that. Like they seem to have these conversations between them that seem healthy. They do these checks on each other.
How do they do that with kids?
Right.
My God. Yeah. So
I don't even know how to manage.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Best TV relationship ever. I mean, there's only one right answer.
It's Mr. and Mrs. Coach from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah. So sweet.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm like, have we already had this conversation? Because I feel like we
had this conversation a lot in real life.
Yeah.
I don't know about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
so
we know.
Really, yeah. I mean, good. He's a good character. I'm curious to see, is he just a state? I mean, not like being a homemaker is just a homemaker excuse. I do not want to get any angry DMs. But do you think he has like a secret identity or anything? Is there something deeper about him too, or is he just kind of a normal dude? I don't care.
I kind of think he might just be a normal dude. He might just be a normal, supportive partner.
I hope he's a normal dude.
Right.
Because you don't. That'd be kind of refreshing, I think.
Yeah.
So why do they have a circular flag outside? I saw it in the first episode. We see it again in the second episode.
That's the current modern flag. They annexed a bunch of more states, like Vietnam, and then additional ones.
Oh, wait. What additional ones?
I don't know, but I think they have more stars than just 51.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
But why did in Jed, whatever his name is, in his office, I could have sworn there was like the regular stars and stripes from episode 1.
He probably just has the old classic.
He's a traditionalist?
It's
how traditional is he? Is he like a white robe, white hood kind of traditionalist?
Think about this. Maybe there is a little bit of signaling with having the older flag before, because like if we see a flag with like 13 stars on it, or one of the earlier flags,
Old Betsy.
Yeah, aren't we even seeing now in the news? Like Colin Kaepernick was like, "Hey, pull that old Betsy Ross flag off of your Nikes. That's not cool." And then it kind of blew up into this whole thing where people were freaking out about the Nike shoes. But he was like, I don't want to see an older flag that's reminding me of the older generation where racism was even less addressed than it is now. And maybe that's a little bit of signaling that he was still holding on to this older flag, and he has KKK robes hidden behind the secret compartment of his closet, just like the comedian. He has a secret compartment, just like the comedian. That whole sequence just reminded me also of the first issue of The Watchmen.
Flag facts. I got 2 flag facts for you.
Bring him.
Give me the one flag in the United States, to my knowledge, that is not a rectangle, but it is a pennant. What state?
Flag facts? No.
Flag facts.
This is a flag quiz.
Oh,
that's not a flag.
Sorry. Just a second.
This is a switch.
Just a second.
Bait and switch.
Flag pop quiz.
Okay.
It's
a U.S. state.
U.S. state, pennant shaped. It's not a rectangle. To my knowledge, it's the only one. I
What
could
are
be
you
wrong.
two talking about?
Don't let Mike. Don't. Oh, okay. He's doing squares. But don't let him give you the answer. This is all you.
Oh man.
Starts with an O.
Are we too off topic here? You gonna make me hear the whole thing? He doesn't have headphones.
I don't have headphones.
So he didn't even know that you're playing the whole intro audio.
Honestly, the flag quiz would be over if you just answered.
Is it Arizona?
No, I said it starts with an O, for crying out loud.
Oklahoma.
Ohio.
Fuck.
What was the first state flag of
What are you
Texas?
two
What colors?
talking about?
Oh, nothing.
I have to pull my
the end
headphones
of the
off.
world.
What was the question?
First-
All right, cut it out. Producer Mike.
Honestly, flag facts would be over if you would just answer.
What was the
first flag of Texas? What colors?
Red, white, and blue.
Blue and yellow, the burn it flag. Blue with 1 yellow star. Pretty sweet flag. Okay, moving on.
I agree. I totally did not know that. I feel better now for having been educated on some flag facts.
When do you think we will get Lori? I thought she was
Next
going to be...
episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You didn't watch the preview.
Yeah, I never do.
You should watch the preview because she's going to be here next week.
I'm afraid to. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, what do we think about... I know you've read stuff. I've been camping. I don't really read that much anyway. I don't know how. But criticism. Are people liking it? Are people not liking it? I know you mentioned, Mike, that we had some good numbers on the show.
Yeah, it's like the highest rated HBO show currently airing.
Yeah.
I like it.
So I think the buzz has been pretty positive. I think there was a couple bitchy critics when we did our episode talking about like the critical response. And now that like I've seen 2 episodes, I'm like, the fuck were those guys talking about? Can they not I feel like there's some critics who should not be TV critics. Like they can't handle even a little bit of complexity in a show. They need their narrative spoon-fed to them. And I'm like, the fucking general audience is actually is smart enough now. We are all indoctrinated with the language of how narratives can play out in a variety of fashions to the extent that we can watch this show and we can ride with it and we can absorb it and we can take a second to actually think about something. There's so many other shows that like you're just binging through shit and you're not even appreciating the artistry that goes into each week of an episode. That's in a way I'm kind of not liking the binge model. there's part of me that like, sure, I just want to sit on the couch and I want to eat a fuck ton of popcorn and feel awful about myself. But sometimes I want to appreciate a filet mignon, and that's what I'm getting here.
Yeah, I completely agree. So are you saying that people who worked on The Big Bang Theory should not be allowed to be critics for other shows? That's question one.
They're welcome to, because they're smart enough to bank off of that.
Yeah,
show.
I mean, you're giving the TV audience a little bit too much credit here. Question two, are you somebody who actually makes popcorn at home?
Like in a bag, like you like microwave.
Oh,
pop
okay,
it?
you're a bad guy.
Yeah, I've done the other.
You a
kind.
stovetop guy?
No,
You
the Jiffy Pop, you mean?
Yeah.
No, I don't do a Jiffy Pop.
Okay, number one movie when you think of Jiffy Pop. There's one right answer.
You always say there's one right answer. It's like Stand By Me. Who else does Jiffy Pop?
Mike?
Mike, do you got an answer for this?
Not participating in this.
You don't do off-topic squids?
Guys?
What was the question? I wasn't paying attention.
Jiffy Pop. Most memorable scene from a movie featuring Jiffy Pop.
E.T.?
Fellas?
No?
Scream. Drew Barrymore, first few minutes.
Why?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's memorable.
That's a good movie.
Why did this happen? All right. Well, I feel like we're kind of heading to the end of this episode. I think we've addressed a lot of things. We've been pretty patchwork about how we've been talking about it, but I think that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was camping. So
No, that's fine.
let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Character you like the most that you want to see on air, and character on the screen, I guess, and character that you really, we can move on from.
Who am I loving the most? I mean, I want more of Sister Night, but I definitely also want more of Looking Glass. I think he's very intriguing to me.
Yeah.
It'd
It'd be cool to have an origin story.
Who do I not want to see so much of? Who am I getting bored by? No one necessarily.
Yeah.
Yet.
I agree. I think that's a good sign. It's a good show.
I mean, the Ozymandias stuff is almost crowbarred in. It's like a little bit jarring, but it's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I think he spends the right amount of time on Ozymandias.
Yeah.
Like 2 or 3 minutes too much, more, and it would be too much. But he's kind of like, okay, he's introducing it. We know that it's going to play a part later, hopefully. It works.
Damon Lindelof over on his Instagram had a pretty fun post where he posted about the scene last week with Ozymandias and how people were like confused about how it was written and then and how it translated on screen. And he posted like 4 pages of his script that you can read. It's really fascinating. And how he refers to everything, like the blonde man. He doesn't call him Ozymandias. He calls him
of course, right?
The older blonde man or something like that. But also, just in his like little like side notes, stuff that's never going to be like actually said by an actor. But he's like, shit's getting fucking weird. Or something. It's like part of the notes of like what he'll put in the script.
The marginalia.
It's really funny. And so yeah, check out that post of his on Instagram. I think
That's pretty cool.
It's a good read.
Speaking of Instagram, I mean, I think people do this. I would invite people to write you or whatever, or comment. I don't know how they do it. I'd like to get other people's ideas on cubes. Do we have other cubes?
Let us know what your cubes moment is of the episode,
Yeah,
guys.
say that in a better way. Say that in a tech-savvy way.
Hey, hit us up on Instagram. Smash that like button. Subscribe to us, bros. And go ahead and let us know what
Muting your mic. I'm just going to mute your mic.
Let us know what your cubes moment was from here. Let us know what your theories... Oh, you totally dropped me out. Let us know your theories on this episode. And we appreciate all the feedback we've gotten from you guys so far. It's pretty exciting. If you guys want to help support us, you can always go to patreon.com/whopods the Watchmen. It's an easy way to make a per episode donation or per month donation, like $2, $5 a month, whatever. And we try and put a little bit of extra material up on there as well.
What's whatever? $10?
$10 is whatever.
2, 5 or whatever.
Whatever is like 100.
Yeah.
You want to be an angel donor to us?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that. Swole sauce. Where are you?
I subscribe to the YouTube channel. I think is the best thing that people can do right now.
Yeah, go subscribe to we have 2 YouTube channels. One is Who Pods the Watchmen, and the other one is Who Pods Breakdowns.
Are those kind of your deep cuts?
Yeah, that's for the deep cut videos.
That's kind of the hipster take, deep cuts.
It's experimental at this point. But
Okay.
yeah, by all means, please go support us. Go take a second and hit subscribe.
Cool.
It helps us out. We are looking forward to next week's episode. We're going to be back here, as usual, 10 o'clock, discussing our crazy theories on things, just breaking things down for you. And we hope you guys will come join us and tune in. Until then, We'll keep watching. You don't like it? You don't like the sign off?
I looked you deep in the eyes, and I kept looking you deeply in the eyes. So it is what it is.
We'll keep watching, baby.
We'll keep watching. Watchmen.